Yo, what's good, everybody? This is J Dub, and doing another video. And just as you can see, we just had an NFL draft, and it's a pretty good draft overall. I think it was a good draft for need picks for the most part. I think a lot of teams got the things that they needed out of this draft. It wasn't like too much crazy talent, in my opinion, as far as just like just superstar crazy, like gonna jump out the building type talent. But there's some day one starters. There's some good picks, good value picks, and good scheme picks for a lot of teams. And yeah, overall, I mean, it was a pretty good draft. I was happy with what my team did, and I'm gonna get into that, once I get to them. But I'm gonna go down the line to each team, and I'm gonna be very brief with each pick. I'm not gonna try to have too long of a video, trying to talk about every single pick and what they did in college and everything like that, because I don't, you know, I can't. I mean, I don't know every single player that was drafted. I'm not gonna pretend I do, but I'm gonna go based off of just some of the stuff that I looked at with some of the top guys and some of the other guys as well. But most of the guys that were picked in this round, I kind of expected to be first round picks. So I know a little bit about each and every one of them, but I'm not going to go too in detail. I'm going to let you guys handle that with wherever your team is. I'm pretty sure you're going to look at the video. You got the YouTube videos to watch on them and kind of give your own opinion on it. Everybody has their own opinion on these guys, so I'm just going to go through each one of them and let you know what my thoughts are as far as whether it was a good pick or not, in my opinion. So I'm going to go down the line and talk about each player. So let's start with the number one pick. Number one pick of the draft was Bryce Young from Alabama, quarterback, and I think that was a no-brainer pick in regards to selecting Bryce Young. It was just he's seen as the best quarterback in the draft. He's probably one quarterback that has potential to be a top level talent at the position. His only weakness is that he's gonna be undersized as far as his weight, because I think they consider him as a he does not packing a whole lot and packing a lot of weight. So that means he's going to be taking he's going to be taking some punishment with the hits he takes in the pocket, especially at Carolina. Starting out, because he's going to be dealing with a lot of pressure. As a rookie quarterback. A lot of teams like to scheme a lot of pressure for rookie quarterbacks, so he's going to be dealing with that. So his toughness is going to be at pretty much going to be tested in the start of his career. But it was a no-brainer pick. I would have picked him number one. That makes sense to me. That was a good pick for the Carolina Panthers to make that trade with Chicago, move up and get the quarterback and the best quarterback in the draft. It just makes too much sense. So next pick in the draft is C.J. Stroud, and he was the second quarterback on the board, and he was kind of considered either one of the second or third best quarterback in the draft. And the Texans had multiple options. They could have went D line if they wanted to, but they could have, and they would have went quarterback. They either had to go one or the other. They had a need at both positions. Either a quarterback or somebody on or a pass rusher, or somebody that can really go to work on the line. And they got that in the second pick. I thought that was a perfect move for him, in my opinion. That's why I had my when I did my mock draft, I picked C.J. Stroud as the second pick of the draft. You got to solidify that position, and he's a pocket passer. He's not like Bryce Young. Bryce Young is like kind of pretty multifaceted as a quarterback. He can throw out of the pocket. He can run. He can. He's a good leader. Played at Alabama under Nick Saban, so he just has all that pedigree to go with it. And so does C.J. Stroud, because he played at Ohio State. So I thought he was a good pick for the Texans. He's a pocket passer. He said he showed a little bit of his running ability, but he likes to be in the pocket. But at the end of the day, that's what you want your quarterback to be, is a quarterback that likes to that can throw out of the pocket. Because a lot of quarterbacks sometimes throwing on the run can get you hurt. So I think it was a good move to get him as a pocket passer. I think he's probably the best pocket passer in the draft. So good move to get your to solidify your quarterback. Now you just got to get him some protection down the road. Probably tomorrow. So next pick actually was also the Texans. They traded the Arizona Cardinals, because the Cardinals were trying to trade this pick the whole time, and they waited to the draft because everybody knew that the Arizona Cardinals were trying to trade out of that pick, so they can get some more picks. So they got some more needs they need to address, and they picked Will Anderson Jr., which is probably I would say one of the best pass rushers in the draft, and one of the best defensive linemen in the draft. You know, you could say Jalen Carter is one of the best, but Jalen Carter got character issues, according to all the scouts, analysts, and basically just if you just watch the news and see what happened with him, you know, I guess people would deem that as a character issue. You know, getting a no contest charge for speed racing and doing stuff like that. You can read it up. You can read up on it. I'm not going to get into it too much, but Will Anderson was out of Alabama, so anybody coming out of Alabama is usually a good prospect. So he got a good first step. He got power. Kind of gives you that. He kind of built like Khalil Mack. That's what he reminds me of when I watch some of his tape. And so I think he's going to be a good fit for the Texans with DeMeco Ryan as the new head coach. So that's a pretty solid move for him. He bought his quarterback and his his pass rush because he's a defensive guy. So he needed it. I knew he was going to get some type of defensive player. I thought he was going to get him with the second pick, but they did the big move and got the quarterback first, and then they moved up and took Arizona's third pick because they wanted to get out of that and get some more picks to get Will Anderson. So it makes perfect sense. So just beef up the pass rush. It never goes wrong. So next pick, number 4, Anthony Richardson from Florida. I knew he was going to go pretty high because off of just a straight up talent. He has just crazy arm strength. He got crazy athlete. Can make the big throws. He's a little under polished. But he has Matt Ryan at the Colts to kind of play under him for a year probably, because or maybe sooner. Depending on how much he develops. Between now and throughout next season. So he was a good pickup, at number 4. I knew they were going to pick up a big quarterback. I thought everybody was talking about they were going to pick Will Levis at number 4 because he's more he's more of a traditional quarterback. He's more pretty much day one ready, according to a lot of the scouts and some of the tape. If you watch some of the tape on him, but Anthony Richardson is the freak athlete of the draft as far as quarterbacks go. So I think this was a good move. This is what I would have did if I was the Colts. I would have got the more talent, the quarterback with a higher ceiling. I think Will Levis' ceiling is a lot more limited than Anthony Richardson. Because I think Will Levis is going to develop into a decent quarterback, but he's not going to be the quarterback that Anthony Richardson is going to be. In a couple years. So I think this was just a perfect situation for him, and also a perfect system for Anthony Richardson to build out of. But we'll see how that goes. It's going to be a good situation for him. He needs to get a year under his belt, kind of sit back with a clipboard and kind of figure it out from there. So next pick is the Seattle Seahawks, number 5. I thought they were going to go D-line somewhere with this pick, but they actually went cornerback, and they got Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. And I thought this was a great pick, in my opinion. I love this pick for him simply because he's probably the best corner in the draft as far as just technique and just pretty much skill. I think he's fluid and real physical. And Seahawks like physical cornerbacks. And this is just a solid pick all around. I didn't expect him to do this. Expect him to fix their D line, which is also was probably their biggest need. But they went ahead and got Witherspoon. Now you got him matched up with Tariq Woolen, and they got a tandem right now. To be honest with you, I love it. Real solid pick. I was real impressed that they picked him, and then decided. And then from at this point, I was like, okay, maybe they're going to get their pass rusher at 20 when they had a chance, but they did something else. But I'm gonna get to that in a second. So the next pick is Paris Johnson. He's offensive tackle out of Ohio State, and he's a big boy. He's probably top 2 prospects at offensive tackle prospects in the draft. And yeah, it was a good pick. I mean, all the mock drafts that I've seen done and the ones I did had Paris Johnson going high, and that's just the guy that Arizona wanted, and this was rumored to be the guy that Kyler Murray wanted. So it kind of makes sense that they went him. They decided to pick him because the quarterback wants him, but they already have help in an offensive tackle. I think they had. I think they had more. They have. I want to say they had more need in other positions, but they you can't have too many good offensive tackles, to be honest with you. So I think I think he can play guard as well because I think they already have a left tackle. So they can play him at either. They can play him in multiple different line positions. So it makes sense. At the end of the day, I see why they did it. They wanted to beef up their line, and that's never a bad thing to do in the draft at all. Is to improve your offensive line. So anytime you ever want to improve your offensive defensive line, I don't have no problem with it. Just as long as you don't reach too hard, it's somebody that you know is going to be experienced. So good pick overall. Next pick is not the Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders, and they picked Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. He's he's also a freak athlete in a lot of strength, a lot of good length, versatile defensive end, and yeah, he's a solid pick for them. I was thinking they were going to go corner because they needed a corner. They desperately needed a corner, but they also needed a pass rush, and I think this is a solid pick for them overall in the long run. Because they can afford to kind of let him get 100% because I think he hurt his foot, and so he's not going to be 100% starting the season, or probably going to take him a little bit, or actually throughout training camp. So we'll see how he recovers, but I think this is a good pick because they didn't have outside of Max Crosby and sometimes Chandler Jones. I think Chandler Jones is kind of is a vet, so he's not as he's more a third down type of player. So now they got Tyree Wilson, who's probably going to be a 3-down type of a defensive end. So I think this is a good pick for them overall in the long run. So I think he's going to be a day one starter for them. It makes sense, but I think they needed a corner a little bit more. But that's my opinion. Either way, it's a good pick for them. Next pick is going to Atlanta. They decided to go running back in the 8th pick for Bijan Robinson out of Texas, and it makes sense 100%. I thought this is a solid pick. Some people might say it was high for a running back, but I think this dude's a real deal. He can run, he can catch out of the backfield. He's just solid altogether. I just don't see no problem with this pick. He's just only gonna get better as a running back. They needed a running back because they have pretty much Cordero Patterson in the backfield, and he's pretty much a kick returner / wide receiver / running back, and he's actually pretty solid at running back last year. I know that because I had him on my fantasy team. He was doing pretty good until he got hurt, so he was actually doing numbers. But Bijan Robinson is a clear cut running back. He should be the starter, and I think they should use Cordero Patterson as a goal line runner because he likes to run up the middle pretty well. But Bijan Robinson can do it all. He's a workhorse. You don't see a lot of workhorse running backs pop up in NFL in the draft these days. So I think he could be real solid. He could actually be the rookie of the year, in my opinion. He has that potential. So I think he is a slam dunk pick for the Atlanta Falcons as far as the running back is concerned. He is just he's a game changer. Thought it was a super good pick. Might be one of the best picks in the draft, in my opinion. That's just me. Next pick is the Philadelphia Eagles, and Philadelphia Eagles love to beef up their defensive line. I knew they were going to do that. That's just what they do. They like to get physical defensive linemen, and they like to get Georgia defensive linemen in particular. They already got Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean over there in Philly, so they decided to just go ahead and just get Jalen Carter because even though being seen as a risk as far as his character. He has pretty much the guy that was pretty much the leader of that defensive line the year before he was there, and so he has kind of like, and he also has vets over there with Fletcher Cox, and so he's I think it's a good move for him because he's going to have the veteran leadership, and he also got pretty much his college teammates already over there in order to kind of keep him in line. And just outside of that, he's probably one of the most talented defensive linemen in the draft, in my opinion. You can't hate on the tape. The tape is what it is, and it's just solid. You know, he's a bully pretty much in the middle of the defense. You know, on the line, it's just like it's gonna be trouble. You know, for my Giants. You know, so I think hopefully tomorrow we start beefing up that offensive line. That's my hope, is that we emphasize on getting that interior, get some guards, get the best center we can get to prepare ourselves for what for Philly happened. Pretty much beefing up their defensive line in a major way, in my opinion, in this draft. So I think they did that with Jalen Carter. He's solid. He's gonna be a problem as long as he stays healthy and stays out of trouble. Good pick overall. I like it at number 9. Number 10 is the Chicago Bears. They moved down a little bit, and they moved to 10. I think they moved from that number. Because they had a 9 pick, and then Philly moved up to get Jalen Carter, so they took the 10 pick and got some couple more picks later on in the draft, and they picked up an offensive tackle, which what they needed was Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. Big man, and he's big. He got good hands, good balance, good everything. You know, he's just solid draft prospect as far as just an offensive tackle. You know, he's one of the top 3 tackles in the draft, and he's going to probably be the starting right tackle for the Chicago Bears next year. So just throw him in there and just play him day one and let him just figure it out. Thought it was a good move to kind of beast up the protection for the quarterback. You know, I think they needed that to kind of because that was a big need for them to help out Justin Fields. That was a good move. Excuse me, I got my allergies and stuff like that just been bothering me a little bit, but it's all good. I'm a rock right through it. So anyway, next pick, another offensive tackle. See, they're going off the board. The top 3 pretty much went off the board. Paris Johnson, Darnell Wright, and then here comes Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. Thought he's another plug and play day 1 starter at offensive tackle. You know, he's solid. You know, the Titans, you know, they needed an offensive lineman on there, so they said, hey, and just get whoever, and they have left tackles already. But I mean, he's Skoronski can play a lot of multiple positions, so those are like some of the most valuable offensive tackles to get, offensive linemen to get in the draft, is the ones that can play tackle and guard. You know, I think those are you can never go wrong with that, because you can pretty much figure out, you can pretty much play them somewhere, and then you can just interchange them, move them around until they find their home. Especially if you already have someone that a veteran at a certain position at like left tackle. In this case, they got Andre Dillard, and they got pretty much they signed him, and then now he can compete with him for the left tackle spot. And if he outplays him, then great. But if he doesn't, then you can move him to guard. You can kick him to guard. It'll work out, you know. So it's a solid pick for the Tennessee Titans. They could have got they could have got their quarterback in Will Levis, but they didn't feel like he was that guy. So offensive tackle is always a safe way to go, you know. The next pick, this is a surprise pick in the draft, in my opinion, at number 12. When the Detroit Lions, who had multiple needs, and I think they I think kind of reached a little bit for it, but he's still a solid player. I think he should have. He wasn't. He could have went a little bit later, but they decided to pick him up right away, and it was for Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. So it's kind of interesting that two running backs go number 12, go twice and two in the top 12. You get two running backs, and that's usually kind of weird. Most teams lately are picking running backs later in the draft, like second round or late first round, but we got two already getting picked in the top 12 picks. So I think it's getting back to the old school way of picking talent. You know what I'm saying? They're valuing running backs just a little bit more because especially, but then again, you know, you look at the free agency market, the running back, the salary has been dropping. You know, a lot of running backs are getting franchise tag. For Saquon Barkley got franchise tag, and he's one of the best running backs in the league. And we all can agree with that, and one of the most talented ones. So, and he getting franchise tags, so that's how let you know what the running back market is looking like. But they went ahead and got they needed a running back. Let's not get it twisted, but thought I think they had two picks in this draft, so I think they could have waited and got him, and they could have beefed up their defensive line, or even got one of the corners, because I think Christian Gonzalez was still on the board, so they could have got the corner in there. Got him later, but they felt like they valued him later. But I was happy about that because that means that the cornerbacks were getting pushed back a little bit in the draft. So I was excited. I was a little surprised that they went that route with it, but I was like, okay, that's fine with me. Y'all can keep making surprise moves like that. So that'll give us more opportunity to get who we get the picks that we need at number 25 where we was at. So, moving on to number 13, Green Bay Packers. They picked Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, and I thought this was a good pick for them. I mean, it was kind of a predictable pick. You know, when usually Green Bay always picks a defensive player in the first round, and they decided they wanted to go with the DN, big 6'5", 272 DN. He's solid. Yeah. Can become better. Definitely, he's definitely a solid pick for Green Bay. I thought they could have got some help for Jordan Love. That would have been helpful. But then again, you know, having a good defense is also helping him out in a sense, because that means he doesn't have to throw the ball 40 times, because he's gonna be this is gonna be his first year really having a full-time starting job. So I think it's either way, it works out for him in the end of the day. But a receiver would have been nice, but that's just not how the Packers do operate. They always get defense first round. So that was a pretty good move. Now, next pick is Pittsburgh Steelers. They move up from 17, move up to 14, because let the New England Patriots let them have this pick. And they picked their offensive tackle, which I knew they were going to pick. A lot of the mock drafts had them picking offensive tackle, and they did. They picked up Broderick Jones, and he's pretty. He's a solid offensive tackle. He's probably one of the top three or four offensive tackles. And they needed offensive tackle to help Najee Harris and Kenny Pickett. You know, they needed to solidify their line. And I thought that was a good move for him overall. He's going to be a day one starter. Not too much to sneeze at about that. You know, it was a good pick overall. Got one of the better offensive tackles in the draft. Next pick is number 15, New York Jets. They could have went a bunch of different ways, but they decided to go to their defense. Got Will McDonald, the fourth, out of Iowa State. And he's a solid pick at outside linebacker. Just beats up their defense even more. The defense is already good. So went ahead and just added more to it. Solid offensive line. He can pass rush. So I think it's just a solid pick overall. You know, he's going to develop into the rotation. He's going to get after the quarterback, give him another guy to chase down the quarterback, and he's going to eventually be a starter at some point in his career. So overall, solid pick. You know, I never questioned picks to beef up the defense in the pass rush. You know, you can't have too many good pass rushers. So I thought that was pretty good for them to pick him up And even though they had options, they could have went Nolan Smith. They could have. There was a few pass rushers on the board for him, but they went with McDonald. I think Miles Murphy still is on the board. So good pick overall. Still they got the guy they wanted, so you can't complain about that. Next pick is Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State, and he is a cornerback, and he is probably the cornerback with the most pretty much ball hogging ability, because he had the most. I think he wanted to say he had the most picks in the league in college, or one of the most. He had 14 over his 3 seasons, so he's just a solid cover corner. But the knock on him, he's small. That's why I was kind of a little concerned about picking him, because all my mock drafts had the Giants picking him. He was going to fall to us. And while I like his ball hawking ability, because we do need a cornerback that can actually turn over the ball, which is always a great thing to have. He like I say, he's a small corner, so he's not going to be apt to pretty much stop the run. And that's kind of a question mark for me as a corner. I like my corners to be a little balanced as far as being able to stop the run and cover the ball. So either way, that's what Washington wanted. The Commanders, they wanted they got the guy they wanted. They want that big play ball hawk cornerback. So he's gonna be a starter for him, right where he's at. So I think it's gonna work out for him in the long run. But I think he just needs to bulk up just a little bit more, and then they'll be in good shape. Number 17th pick from New England, the one that they traded down to from Pittsburgh, and they picked up Christian Gonzalez, who fell in the draft because everybody had him going 7th or 6th at the top of the draft in the top 10, but he dropped down all the way down to number 17. So, but he's a solid quarterback. He's big. He has good size. He's real quick. He got a lot of bursts. He got good recovery skills, and he's just going to be a solid quarterback. But I had question marks about him. I thought he was the 3rd best quarterback in the draft, in my opinion, just because the conference he played in the Pac-12, so his competition level wasn't, I think it's at a slightly lower tier than on the East Coast and the SEC and the ACC and those conferences. I think those are a little bit more competitive conferences when it comes to the passing game. And he also didn't have any picks in a couple years. It took him a while. He did not really a pick artist, but neither is Deonte Banks, who I'm going to get to in a second, because that's who I'm just going to get to him in a second. But he's just solid. He's a big got a good frame on him, and he's going to be solid for New England. I think the New England is actually a good landing spot for him. Thought this is going to work out for him. I think some other teams that maybe he wasn't going to be ready for, because he's not because he has a different type of skill set. I think he's going to be real solid, and he could be one of the top corners. I know he's top 3 for sure. So I think in this system he's gonna shine. So I think this works out for New England overall. But let's just say I like the corner we got a little bit better than him. And as far as the scheme, I think he's more of a scheme fit type of corner. Like he fits the New England scheme a lot better than he would any other scheme. So I think this is a solid pick for the Patriots. So I like it. All right, Detroit Lions, they went ahead and got the 18th pick. They already went ahead and got a running back with the 12th pick. And in the 18th pick, they went ahead and got an inside linebacker, Jack Campbell, out of Iowa. 6'5", 249. It's a big man for a linebacker. And I think he won the Buckets Award last year. So he's solid. He can tackle. I like it, overall. You never complain about linebackers. I'm a Giants fan always. And all of our Super 12 teams consist of good linebacker play, and I think we need to get back to that. I think we're starting to get back to that, but I'll never question a linebacker pick, especially if he's the best middle linebacker in the draft. In my opinion, you can just throw him in there, let him just wreak havoc. I think he's going to be solid, and yeah, he's just going to be. I think he's an upgrade position. I think they already got a middle, but I think he's going to compete, and and eventually he's going to be the starter for him. So I think this is a good pick for the Lions overall. I think they needed a corner a little bit more, and but at the same time, I'm glad they didn't pick a corner because they could have easily picked the corner that we got. So them getting the linebackers, good news for me. Could be good news for them, but I think they had a bigger need at cornerback. So, worked out. Hopefully, it works out for them. The next pick is Pittsburgh. Cajun Kancey out of Pittsburgh. He went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's a defensive tackle. And I think that he's probably the second or third best defensive tackle in the draft, behind Jalen Carter being the best. But so he gives them a need, gives them another defensive tackle. Tampa Bay likes defensive tackles. Warren Sapp, out of that kind of out of pretty much that kind of mold. But I think he's not exactly the nasty man that Warren Sapp was. But he's solid. He stops the run. So I think this is a good starter for in that Todd Bowles defense. I think he's going to fit right in with them. I thought this is a good pick overall. I think they was going to go either offensive line. That's what I thought they were going to do, but the four best offensive tackles were off the board at this point of the draft. So they say, let's just go beef up the defensive line. It makes sense to me. It never hurts to beef up either part of your line. All right, the next part of our draft is pretty much everybody running the wide receivers at the 20th pick, because it took a while. I thought it was going to happen sooner, but it took 20 picks to get to the first wide receiver off the board, and the best wide receiver off the board, and the Seahawks picked him up. It was Jackson Smith, Njigba, and he's out of Ohio State. And I think, he's probably the best receiver in the draft. So it was a solid pickup overall for the Seahawks to get the best receiver in the draft as well as the best corner in the draft. So those were pretty good pickups, but I thought they needed defensive line a little bit more than another receiver. I thought that was more of a need for them, but they said, we're going to get the best receiver in the draft to kind of go behind DK and Tyler Lockett. And Tyler Lockett's getting old, so now they got their, they can groom him into being that second receiver along with DK, because they signed DK to some more years, so I think another 3 years. So I think overall is good for that defensive, actually for the offense for pretty much a year for years to come. It's going to just boost up there. But they could have went either way. They could have went to their defensive line. They could have even went quarterback and got Levis off the board, but they didn't believe in him. They're believing in Geno right now, so it makes sense that they went ahead and kind of pretty much added some more weapons and help Geno out, make them more formidable. But they could have went some other directions, but overall it was a solid pick. Getting the best receivers, nothing's wrong with that. Next pick is San Diego Chargers. They decided to go ahead and pick Quentin Johnson out of TCU. Got themselves a wide receiver as well, and they're nothing wrong getting a deep threat. They like to have deep threats, and so they went ahead and picked him up. And so it gives Justin Herbert another weapon to use in that offense. I thought they could have went some other directions as well. But he gives them another weapon, gives them another starter, and then they can put Keenan Allen in the slot and preserve him more, because Keenan Allen tends to be injury prone. So they needed to get another receiver. So that gives them having a deep threat to go into Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert has a lot of intermediate threats in the offense, and he likes to throw those underneath routes, and you give him just a guy he can throw it up to would be lovely. So I think it's a good pick for the Chargers overall for their offense. It's gonna build it up and It's gonna it's gonna be solid. They're gonna be in Kellen Moore's now their offensive coordinator, so that gives just putting weapons gives to a high power scoring offense. So I think it's gonna be a good move for them in the future. All right, so the next pick is again another receiver, and the Baltimore Ravens just went ahead and went with Zay Flowers out of Boston College, wide receiver, and this is a good move for them. They just signed Lamar Jackson to a 5-year deal. They paid the man finally. Paid the man his money. And it was also good on Lamar Jackson, kind of ease up on the guaranteed money because he really didn't need that. So but they paid him the highest paid quarterback in the draft in the league. I mean, and I was I'm happy for Lamar, and he didn't have no, on top of that he didn't have no agent, so he just pretty much him and his family are pretty much cashing that money in. So that was just a good deal for both parties. The Ravens locked up the quarterback for 5 years, and Lamar Jackson got his money, so he can get back to playing football. Everybody's happy, and then they gave him Odell Beckham on a 1-year deal. Now they have Zay Flowers as well, another speedster. That to give him just to get rid, so he can get rid of the ball whenever he needs to, whenever he's in trouble. So it's just a solid move all around. They needed a receiver. He got himself another weapon. I think this is a good move for Baltimore. Got Lamar Jackson happy. They already got Rashawn Bateman. Got Nelson Aguilar. So they got a lot of speed, a lot of talent in that wide receiver room right now. So it's looking good for them. I think they needed that, and then he got Odell and Bateman coming off of injuries as well. So you needed to kind of make sure you had pretty much a solid wide receiver room going into the next season, especially after you just paid your quarterback big time money. So makes sense for me overall. It's a good pick for them. The next pick, another is a surprise pick as well. I didn't think that the Minnesota Vikings were going to select a wide receiver here. I mean, it makes sense because they wanted to get another guy to go opposite of Jordan Addison because they let go of Adam Thielen this year. So they went ahead and got Jordan Addison, who's probably the best route runner in the draft of all the receivers. But I thought they needed defense real bad because my Giants played them in the playoffs, and we were able to throw on them whenever we wanted. Basically, I felt like and we don't have the best receivers, to be honest. To be real, our receivers weren't top tier receivers. They're all mostly, I don't even want to say practice squad, but they were just really not number ones. And we were able to pass all day on them in the playoff game and beat them. We were just marching downfield, just pretty much doing whatever we wanted to their corners. So I thought corner was a big need for them. And there were 2 corners on the board, Deonte Banks and Joey Porter Jr. So kind of confused me why they wanted to go that route and get a receiver. So they went, but they did it. They got Jordan Addison, and I think he's pretty solid as a receiver. So it's going to help him for sure. It's going to help Justin Jefferson because he has a crime partner. But like I said, they still need to address their defense. I think that was more of a much bigger need than a wide receiver. They could have got the wide receiver in day 2, in my opinion. But they went ahead and got Jordan Addison. So it should work. It was going to work out for them offensively, but we'll see how their defense holds up later on in the draft. All right, the next pick is my Giants, and we got lucky. I didn't think he was going to be here at this point in the draft. I thought the most of the quarters were going to be gone. I thought we were going to be lucky if we were going to get Joey Porter Jr., but we ended up getting Deonte Banks out of Maryland, and I love this pick because he's a perfect fit for our scheme and our defense in Wink Martindale as far as being a matchup man quarter. He likes to press up, and he also can play zone. So he's going to be I think he's going to be a day 1 starter across from with Adoree Jackson, because that was one of our biggest needs. Is we only had 1 quarter really, and Adoree Jackson was in and out of the lineup. So in a sense, we really didn't have like a number 1 quarter all the time. We just had a bunch of guys we were just plugging in to play quarter. So we were always teams got to exploit us in the passing game. So now we got a solid lockdown quarter, and also I think he's the best athlete of all the quarters in the draft. If you look at all his combine numbers, he was had the fastest 40 of all the combines. He had a 42-inch vert. He was just he's just a beast. And then if you watch the tape on him, he loves to come up and hit. So he's gonna be good in the run game. Just solid overall. I liked him better than Gonzalez. I thought Gonzalez is a little bit more of a finesse corner, and I like my quarters to be a little bit more physical. And he's 6 foot, almost 200 pounds, so he's just solid all across the board. I think he just needs to work on his technique a little bit more, and I think that always can be taught. You know what I'm saying? He has all the other tools. You know, he has a 4.340, so he has good recovery speed. He has all the tools, the physical tools to be a great corner. He's just built to be a corner. He just needs to work on his technique. He's not as polished as Witherspoon, who the Seahawks got. You know, that's what separates him from Witherspoon. He has more athletic gifts than Witherspoon, in my opinion. He's a bigger quarter, but Witherspoon is just more of a polished quarter. That's why he's the top quarter on the board, in my opinion. That makes sense to me. So I think over time that Deontay Banks is going to be that dude at corner. So I'm excited for him, and I hope he's going to probably learn trial by fire next year. So he's going to hope they just put him in, plug him in as a day one starter, let him learn on the job. We already got a nickel corner already in our system, so I think he's going to be solid as a quarterback one, a quarterback two starting out, and then he's going to develop with that quarterback one because Adoree Jackson is in the last year of his deal, and then we can probably either re-sign him or find another quarter, maybe a vet, maybe another one in the draft. So either way, this is a good situation. Couldn't have went better for my Giants as far as the corners. Cause I didn't expect to get Gonzalez or Witherspoon. So we got arguably the second or third best corner in the draft. So this worked out perfectly for us, in my opinion. So next pick is the Buffalo Bills. They moved up with Jacksonville because we moved up from 25 to 24 from Jacksonville. Then Jacksonville moved down one more time with did a deal with the Bills for the Bills to move up to 25, and they went ahead and got a tight end, probably the best tight end in the draft, Dalton Kincaid, and he is probably the best route runner of the tight ends in the draft. And he's just coming in. He's just gonna be another tight end, a receiving tight end, and help them out and possibly be the starter if he beats Dawson Knox out, and he also has a great quarterback with Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is gonna utilize him as a weapon. They're gonna do a lot of two tight end sets now to make it easier for Josh Allen to kind of get rid of the ball, because last year it was kind of a down year for him as far as interceptions. He threw a lot of interceptions last year, and but I think that is going to help him out when he has multiple tight ends to kind of get rid of the ball real quick too. And so this is a good pick for the Buffalo Bills to kind of beef up their passing game, make it harder for them to be defended, get more over the top stuff for to Gabe Davis, and get the ball to their receivers. Gonna be solid, man. Stephon Diggs is gonna keep doing his thing, and Gabe Davis is gonna be blowing the top off the defense, and they can use their tight ends to go underneath. Gonna be a solid overall for the Buffalo Bills, and they already got their defense is already pretty solid at this point, so they don't really need to do too much, but kind of help out their offense a little bit and get some more weapons. So it makes sense to me. Next pick is the Dallas Cowboys, and they went ahead and got their defensive tackle, and I think that was somewhat of a need for them. I think they needed something in the middle. I think they're pretty solid in the edge, solid with their linebackers. They just need to beef up the middle of that defensive line, and they got that with Mozzie Smith out of Michigan. He's a solid prospect. He's one of the I would say he's probably top 3 or 4 defensive tackles in the draft, and so they needed somebody to get in that middle, and they did their homework on him, and now he's going to be a solid anchor for their in the middle of defense. So I think that's what they needed in the interior, is to get a big boy and just throw him in there, give him in the rotation, and give him his reps, and then one day he'll probably be a starter. So I thought that was a good pick for the Cowboys to kind of beef up their defensive line. Nothing wrong with that. Next pick is the Jacksonville Jaguars, they moved all the way down to 28 with the two deals they made with the Giants and also the Buffalo Bills. They moved down and got Anton Harrison, and he's out of Oklahoma, and they needed an offensive tackle. Obviously, they needed one to protect Trevor Lawrence. So you got to protect your investment. The more offensive tackles you got, the better. He's gonna step right in and be a starter. I think he pretty much they needed that. They got a position in need, and they could have. He probably would have been gone. Some of the draft boards had him in the second round, but he'd probably been gone early in the second round, and Jacksonville probably wouldn't have had a chance to get him. So I said we're just gonna go ahead and get him now. Make sure we get him. Get an offensive tackle of a high caliber. He's one of the top 5 offensive tackles, or 5 or 6, But he's gonna step right in and be a good. I think he's gonna be a right tackle. I want to say. I think you want to play him as right starting out, and see how it goes from there. If he ever becomes a left, but it's never a bad thing for you to have a solid right tackle for years to come. Your right tackle can be just as important as your left. So, good move. Our next pick is from Cincinnati, and they got the luxury of getting Myles Murphy for the number 29th pick of the draft. I think this is a good value pick, and they love defensive ends in Cincinnati. That's a big part of the defense is their defensive line in their defensive end rotation. So they got added Myles Murphy to that. And I think that was a solid pickup for them, and that's a good value for him because some mock drafts that I did had him going a lot higher than that, had him going in the middle of the draft, but they ended up getting him late in the draft. So and he's coming out of Clemson. Some people compare him to Bradley Chubb. And I thought that's kind of a fair comparison, and I think it's going to be is another defensive end to add to the rotation, and they're gonna probably plug him in. And one day he's going to probably be a starter at some point, but yeah, he's gonna be a pass rusher in that system. So it gives him a lot of time to develop and work on his technique and get used to the NFL game. And then pretty much with either next year or the year after, he's going to probably be a full rotation guy, a starter. But at this point, he's probably going to be a situation, the pass rusher starting out, and then if he flourishes, he might be a starter by the end of next season. So we'll see. Next pick is the New Orleans Saints, and they're picking Brian Bresee out of Clemson, and he is another D tackle. So now they're getting pretty much the last of the D ends, and he's also one of the better D ends in the draft. And yes, New Orleans Saints feel they need a run stopper, so they got that. He's gonna be pretty good in the middle. He's 6'6", 298. He's a pretty big guy. Got some elusiveness to him, pretty quick. So he's gonna be and he's strong, and he's shed blockers, tackle, and get the job done at defensive tackles. I think it's a good pick for them to get to beef up their line. Once again, you get something in the middle, stop the run. That's what you want to do. You don't want teams to be running on you. So, especially in that division, especially now that you got Bijan Robinson in the division. So they beefed up their line. Thought that was a good move for them. Not too many bad picks in this draft, in my opinion. A lot of teams got pretty much what they needed, and what they so there's a couple surprises. But for the most part, everybody got what they needed. So let me finish these last two picks. The Eagles, they got a second pick in the draft. They moved down to the number 30th pick, and they got the luxury of getting Nolan Smith, which is a luxury pick for them to get him this late in the draft, because a lot of mock draft boards that I was doing, a lot of mock draft boards that I was seeing throughout the past month, and yesterday, even today, had him going in the middle of the draft. But I think it's because he tore his pec in October that he moved down to the bottom, and then but he did add yet another Georgia Georgia defensive lineman to the mix, or offensive lineman, just a pass rusher. So I mean, it just kind of adds, it's just pretty much an embarrassment of riches at this point with Georgia. So you might as well call the Philadelphia Eagles the Georgia East, or whatever you want to call them. They got like four in the last 2 years. They got four Georgia defensive linemen: Nakobe Dean, Jordan Carter, Nolan Smith, and it's crazy. Jalen Carter. So they're just loaded up. Or Jordan Davis, excuse me. So they're just pretty much just beefed up in that line. So it's gonna be trouble for the NFC East as far as the defensive line, because depending on how it all pans out, we'll see his health, because I think his health was a concern. Is his torn pec, and him staying healthy moving forward. So the last pick of the draft was Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL champions, and they selected Felix Anudike Uzuma out of Kansas State. Say he's going to be he's another DN. Doesn't help in that. That's a good pick for them because their offense is pretty solidified. They could have used another receiver in hindsight, but most of the receivers are already gone. So why not get yourself a solid DN to beef up your defensive line, help your pass rush, and make your defense a little bit stronger? Because I think that was kind of like wasn't a weakness, but it was like their defensive line could be better. So they beefed it up, and I thought that was a good pick to end the draft overall by them to beef up the defensive line. And he's from Kansas State, so it was a fan pick. Kansas City like the Kansas State picks or the Missouri picks. They'll eat that all up. So that was a good pick for a bunch of reasons for them. Besides, if they wanted to, they could have got a receiver. So either way, it worked out. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, overall, I thought most of the teams got what they needed. Some teams got other things. Like I think the Seahawks could have got more of a pass rush at the 20th pick, but they did pick a wide receiver. That was also kind of a need for them. But I thought they could have got that later in the draft. But they went ahead and got the best one. So can't really be mad at them for that. I thought the Lions, they picked their running back too early. I thought they could have got a better defensive end or a pass rusher or a quarterback at that point of the draft. They could have got the quarterback. They could have got Christian Gonzalez, who I think would have been a good fit for them, but they decided to get the running back early. Then they had to settle and get the inside linebacker at that point at the 18th pick. That was a little bit of a surprise. And yeah, I think those are the only two picks I kind of questioned a little bit. Other than that, everybody else did what they were supposed to do as far as did the things that they needed, and it made good sense. I thought it was a good, solid draft overall. Thought it was real good, good draft to watch. Even though there's not really any eye-popping talent out there, I say outside of Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, Devin Witherspoon, Anthony Richardson. I thought those are the guys that are really gonna look like they're gonna make some noise. I think Zay Flowers is a good pick for Baltimore. I think it's gonna be solid. Like I said, I like our pick with Deontay Banks. I think he's gonna be one of the top quarters down the road. As long as he stays healthy and he keeps working on his scheme and stays with it. So I thought it was good. I thought it was a good draft for my Giants. I'm pretty happy about that. So, but anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna get off the line, and I appreciate you guys tuning in to my draft analysis. That was pretty good, outside of me being a little nasally right now because, like I said, man, these allergies in the spring be catching up to me a little bit. But I had to make it happen, and I'm feeling good about the draft. Feeling good about doing the video. And give you guys some of my thoughts on football, and I'm getting excited for the season already, just after watching this draft. So pretty good stuff overall. I'm looking forward to tomorrow to see if we beef up our line and see what the other teams do as well. I'm not going to do anything on the second and third round. I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to just do the first round. It did. Hopefully everything works out for everybody in the rest of the draft. It should be pretty good. You know, it's gonna hopefully, like I said, we just need to get our defensive line, our offensive line, pretty much beefed up because like I said, the Eagles really kind of cleaned up and got a lot of defensive linemen, particularly from Georgia, to kind of band up and kind of try to wreak some havoc on the division. So I think it's going to be kind of interesting how that works out. So anyway, I'm gonna sign off right here. Peace out. Hope you guys have a great night, and hope you enjoy the rest of the draft. Peace.